Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Dalia and today we are back on my abandoned jungle island Solitude working on a new video. I'm really excited for today because we're working on my first neighborhood style build of the island. We're going to be working on Sly and Roswell's houses if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, yeah, I'm really excited. Let me head over to where we're working, which is right here, right behind my plaza. I never know how to decorate behind my plaza, so I'm just gonna throw some villagers' houses here, because why not? Why not? Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're gonna kind of be extending what I worked on in the last video for Blather's tent, and then kind of like doing some other stuff too. So anyway, let's get started. Like I said, we're going to be working on Sly and Roswell's houses. They're going to be my two alligators on this island. And because they're alligators, I wanted to give them kind of like a swampy kind of vibe. If you guys were here for my, what's it called, my code shopping video, you would remember that I did download like a swamp kind of path, like something that had like murky water, and this deck was actually a part of that pathing. And while I really liked it, it took up too much space, and then I ended up going with my pebble and water path that we're about to be using. And honestly, I like this path a lot more, and this is one I've wanted to use for a really long time. So instead of doing my traditional, or not my traditional, but like the traditional kind of swampy thing that you would typically see with like a swampy island, I'm making my own version of it using this path. So the majority of the villagers' homes are going to be on like this pebble path, and then we're going to have areas with some water because like they're alligators. Like of course it makes sense, right? I also want to apologize for the very random broken up pathing at the beginning of this video. I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate pathing in my videos without making my videos an hour long, because it took me a very long time to put this pathing down because it's very intricate. And even if it wasn't very intricate, it takes me a long time to decide how I want my pathing to be placed. So overall, it was a little bit of a struggle. So I broke it up the best that I can so you guys can still see like how I placed it, but it's like 4 minutes of footage versus an hour of footage because I'm trying to get better with my footage, and with my videos not being too long. I have heard you guys say you like longer videos, but honestly, editing them and everything, it's just nicer when they're a little bit shorter, you know, like under that 20-minute mark. So anyway, yeah, so I'm just gonna finish putting the pathing down. I kind of wanted to do, so I did like a bridge with that deck that kind of looks similar to the bridge that I did where Blather's tent is in the previous video that I did for this island. And then we're gonna have like some stone and then some small like little river places. Just assume that where you can step is shallow water, and the areas that have the kind of like bridges with like my fake bridges are deeper water, if that makes any sense. Like, because basically this water is just supposed to be like, as I've said before, this is an abandoned jungle city, so the water is kind of like water that has kind of developed over time, if that makes sense. Like, because you know how rivers like change over time and like water gets like bigger and water gets smaller, if that is making any sense to you. This is, at least I think that's how it works. Obviously I'm not an expert on this, but just assume that that's how it works, because I wanted to incorporate the water. I didn't want it to just be stone, obviously, like in the areas where my villagers' homes are going to be. So I made it work, I think. I don't know. I like how the pathing looks at the end. And keep in mind, this is a jungle island, so I will also be incorporating tons of trees and things into the area too. So I had to like make sure that there were sections that I left empty, because my builds for this particular island have clusters of trees and other kind of like overgrown things like the giant vines, some fake trees, and then just like overall like kind of like overgrown sections, and then you have areas you can walk through. So this area has areas where you can walk through, and then there's like the clusters of the trees and everything. And I'm really excited for this particular build because I knew for my alligators I wanted to at least have 2 of them together in like a swampy build where I could incorporate some fishing items. So like I said, we're doing Roswell and Sly's homes, so I did quickly speedrun Happy Home Paradise so that I had the ability to customize their homes. And for Roswell, I gave him a very basic brown exterior, but I wanted their overall houses to be very similar with the roof and the door. The only thing I wanted there to be differences is in the color of their houses themselves. So obviously Roswell, because he is a brown alligator, I gave him a brown exterior for his house. And then for Sly, because he is a orange alligator, I decided to do similarly for him, but go with like the brown orangey house exterior, which looks really good. We actually have a lot of options for this house style. So this is probably going to be the house style I have for the majority of my villagers on this island. But for the 2 of them, I decided to go with this and then just have the colors of their houses kind of match. So they're the same, but different, if that makes any sense.
They're identical! Look at them!
So I quickly time traveled, moved both of their houses on and customized them. And as you'll notice, like Roswell's house has a little bit of water underneath it, which I honestly think kind of adds to the swampiness, because obviously alligators live on water or can live in water. So I feel like that's like a nice incorporation of like the species of the villager. And then I'm placing my safety railings. This is a good little way to kind of like cut off sections of my build so that you have to walk in like a particular way. I did use these for my previous build and it just looks really good. And I've been using different bridges, like different codes. So it's really fun to see how like they work with like the different colors of my bridges and stuff. And I think it adds like an element of uniqueness because it kind of looks like the wood on the bridges are like decaying or like kind of rotting in different ways, if that makes any sense. So now I'm running around the area and planting some trees. Sometimes I do my trees later on, but because this is a build that primarily is going to have a lot of overgrown sections, I wanted to make sure that I'm incorporating my trees in these cluster areas like I mentioned. So I'm using, if you've seen my previous videos, hardwood trees are the only regular tree I'm using, and then I'm using palm trees, bamboo trees, and all my trees are in different stages of growth. So I'm planting some that are full stages, and then I'll be time traveling for some other ones, and then stunting them really quickly, as you can see me doing here. I think my favorite tree that I'm using on this island is definitely the bamboo, because I think the second biggest growth stage and the third are really jungly, and some people have commented that they think that the creativity behind making a jungle island in autumn is really fun because the colors of the trees are a little bit more unique. And I'm glad that you guys have been enjoying that, because that was my intention with doing a jungle island in the fall, because typically you see jungle islands in the spring or summer. So it's been a lot of fun because the color scheme is just really beautiful to me. Anyways, I'm making this fake building behind Blather's field supply shop thing. Basically, I just wanted to cut off this section, and I wanted to do some fake buildings because I haven't done one since my first build on this island. And I thought using the storefronts and just making a very tall building using a gazebo as the roof could be like a fun little, like it looks like an abandoned store or an abandoned building of some kind. And like I said, I wanted to cut this section off from the side because I wanted to do something different than just planting a bunch of trees to kind of make it look very full. And I think using fake buildings for stuff like this is really creative. So I used the brown and then the yellow, and then I used the gazebo with like the little flowers and like the moss version on top. Once again, nothing else is going to go into this store or this building. It's just like a fake building. It also filled up the space behind the field supply station, and also just, I don't know, adds a lot of height to the space, which I really like. And then I placed another gazebo with some fencing just beside Roswell's house, once again just to kind of fill up the space and add a little bit more height. And I'm placing some giant vines throughout the area. This is a very big item, so I think it's good to place it earlier on in my builds so that I have room for them, just knowing I have space. And then I'm placing some barrels. I'm starting to be a lot better with my barrels when it comes to placing them, and then not worrying about placing items on top of them, because I'm using tons of barrels and like the oil barrels and things for this island. I'm gonna be better at just not placing items on top, because not every barrel needs an item on top. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. And as I've been talking about barrels for the last 40 seconds, I placed some yachts. Like I said, this is going to be an area that has some fishing elements to it, as you'll see in the next couple of seconds. And then I started placing some wheat fields and some of my garden rocks as well. Next to their houses, I decided to do some storefronts. I just like placing storefronts up against homes like this, because to me it kind of looks like a shed, I guess you could say. And then time traveled quickly. Like I said in previous builds, my island is going to be set probably during a dream address when I have a lot of fog on my island. So I time traveled to a foggy morning just to kind of see what it was starting to look like. And like I said, I'm going to be having some fishing elements incorporated into this build. So really all I did was place some retro transportation stops beside each other to kind of look like a shed. Whether or not you want to call this like a fishing shed or like a supply storage space or whatever, I don't know. I just like putting storage sheds like that beside each other. And then I place a ton of fishing piled things, whatever those are called. What are those called? I don't know. A bunch of fish. I put a bunch of fish.
That's a lot of fish.
And my color scheme for this island is a lot of like greens and browns and yellows. So I felt like incorporating some green with the retro transportation stop, and like the orange with the fishing stack barrels, or the fishing crates, that's what those are called. I think adds a lot to the colors, because it kind of brightens up the area a little bit and incorporates some color back into more of a dull space. One color I'm using as like a complementary color on this island is yellow, so incorporating the yellow in like the oil barrel I placed there, I think just really ties in the colors. And I really like it. I know color theory is interesting for my islands. A lot of my islands, I've been using yellow as like a primary color, or as like a focal point color, just because I think it brings some life back into more dull spaces. And because this island is very natural with a lot of trees and stuff, I think incorporating the yellow is also kind of a jarring color, especially when you have it up against a lot more muted shades and stuff like that. Also, it matches like the trees, the leaf piles, and other things like that. I finished the majority of like the primary build at this point, and now I'm just kind of filling in my more overgrown spaces. So I placed some fake trees, some decoy ducks, a lot of wheat fields, garden rocks. Like I said, I think garden rocks, especially with this code that I'm using, is really a great item to incorporate, just because it looks really, I don't know, adds like a natural element without it actually being like a real like naturally grown item on my island. And like I said, my last few things are just planting some flowers. I'm using a couple flowers on this island. I'm not going crazy with my flowers. A lot of my builds just incorporate mainly trees and weeds and stuff. And then the last few things I'm doing are dropping some dropped items like mushrooms. I think mushrooms on this code once again just looks so good. And I'm in loving decorating this island because it brings back memories of decorating my trash core island, where there was really no rules into how I decorate. It's just like you throw items down in random order, and because it's meant to be kind of sporadic, it looks good and it works. So planting a couple more trees, a couple of bushes, because I almost forgot to include bushes in this build. And then yeah, I'm finished after this, and I will time travel to my foggy morning, which looks so good. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Without further ado, let's check out the final build, and I hope you guys all enjoy. Alright, that is everything for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I'm having so much fun with this island, and this is probably one of my favorite builds I've done in a long time. It was very, like, fun, if that makes any sense, and I did it so fast. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe if you're new to the channel, join the channel as a member if you would like to support my content further. And yeah, I hope you guys all have an absolutely wonderful day. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!